Hi guys, are you well? We are continuing with like a small short series on productivity, and not really a series per se, but just building on the concept of productivity and getting things done. So today we're going to be looking at the Eisenhower. I'm prepared to be saying that on that matrix, the Eisenhower matrix. And this matrix helps us to be able to get the difference between what is important and what is urgent. Now, one of the things that sometimes takes our time are things that we are not able to trace. Were they urgent or were they important? Were they urgent but not important, important but not urgent? You get that mix of things. So we need to establish that there are things that are important, they need to be done, but they might not necessarily need to be done at this time. But there are things that are urgent, like urgent things. If you get sick right now, urgent. Oh, we need to see a doctor. We can't say this is urgent, but we don't need to get it done. You need to get it done, and you need to get it done now. So how do you plan yourself, your time, and the tasks that you have such that you're able to balance between what is not important and what is important, what is urgent and what is not urgent? And this matrix helps us to understand that, even as you can see it on your screen. So we will start with the first quadrant your box ya juu ya kwanza, that one. That first quadrant, which is a mixture of the things that are urgent and important. Urgent and important. Like this task is both urgent and it is very important. Mostly, it is tasks that are very high value. They are time sensitive. That is why we are saying they are urgent, and they have consequences if they are not done at that time. So something that, for example, we can give that is urgent and important is if there is a problem that has come up in your place of work, or maybe in your business. You're running a business and suddenly, let's give an example, you're running a hotel business and suddenly there is no water flowing in that business. It becomes very urgent and important for you to sort out the water problem. You get what I mean? It needs to be done now. If it doesn't get done now, it could have consequences. But not only are you running away from the consequences, but there is the time aspect saying you need to do this now. There sometimes you'll find you have projects that have deadlines. Those ones you have to do them now. It is important. You have to submit it, and it is urgent. It has a timeline that has been given to it. The second quadrant is those things that are important but not necessarily urgent. Now, over time, I have realized that a lot of the things that have to do with personal development are usually important but not necessarily urgent. In what sense? No one will run after you and tell you, read this book about finances and finish it in 2 days, unless you're in a finance seminar. But just in your own life, in your own personal disciplines, you have the luxury of saying, even if I read this book for 4 years, I have still read it. So it doesn't really have the aspect of time. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that we need to actually make urgent are usually not urgent. So let us say building a relationship, either at work or at home, it will look like it is not urgent. But unfortunately, the more you let it go, the worse it becomes. All right? However, there are things that are not urgent, but they are important, and you can always find a way of scheduling them. So the caution that I will throw for the second quadrant is make sure you do not find yourself being unaware of things that are important, yet they are not urgent. Because mostly, things that are urgent are the ones that keep knocking at our doors. I need to get this done, I need to get this done. But those that are important yet not urgent end up converting into important and urgent when the deadlines are closer. So you need to find a way of being able to balance and knowing it is not urgent, but it is still important, which means it still needs to get done. Now, the third quadrant, it is not important, but it is urgent. Not important meaning you might not necessarily be the one who needs to get it done, which means you can always delegate it. You can always find someone who can help you to do it. So the first one, you said you have to do it fast. The second quadrant, we said you need to be careful not to forget it and not get it done. So the solution is schedule for it and be intentional about it. So the third one, it is not important, but it is urgent. You can always delegate it. You know, when you're very rich, you can always delegate shopping. You know, praise God. Anyway, there are other things that are more serious than that you can always find that are not important, but they are urgent, and it is okay to delegate them. But remember, whatever you delegate, follow up and make sure it is done and it is done correctly. Then finally, the fourth quadrant is the ones that are not urgent and not important. Unfortunately, this is where we spend a lot of our time. Network, you know, when we have internet and we are browsing the internet and you got into the office and 40 minutes of your 1 hour was somewhere on TikTok or on Facebook without really realizing, but you find yourself doing these things, and they're usually very easy to do. They are pointless meetings, you know, hookups. We just need to catch up. Socialization that is not really constructive per se. For these ones, the solution is find a way of deleting it. Now, because again, we agree that bad habits are not just stopped, they're replaced, find a way of replacing these habits or these items that are not urgent and not important with items that are urgent and important, or that are important and not necessarily very urgent that you have scheduled for. I pray that helps you and that you're able to be more productive in this coming week. God bless.